This is a Roman fort at Portchester. Seems to be occupied throughout the early medieval of Saxon period, from about AD 400 to the Norman conquest of 1066. Excavation in Outer Bailey or enclosure has revealed evidence of succession of timber building from this time. After 1066, William the Conqueror gave Portchester William Mordaunt, one of his chief supporters. Mordaunt established a new, smaller inner bailey in the northwest corner with defences and buildings of timber. In the early 12th century, this was built in stone, including the first stage of the castle's great keep. A priory of Augustinian canons was founded in the southeast corner of the Outer Bailey in 1128. The canons moved to nearby Southwick after about 20 years later, but the church survives at Portchester Parish Church of St Mary's. Portchester became a royal castle in 1154 and remained in crown ownership until 1632. Between 1665 and 1814, it served as a prisoner of war depot. Since about 1819, the castle has been open to the public. In 1926, it was placed in the Ministry of Work guardianship, and in 1984, it was transferred to the care of the English Heritage. And I've done some other English heritage sites, so please feel free to check out my other videos that I've done. And I have done Portchester Castle, like I said previously, but this is one on my hit list as well, as so was Arundel Castle. You know, forts and castles, etc. They're such, you know, enriched in history, and it's you know, to come out and do this droning and video vlogging and given the history about it, it's just incredible. It gives you a sense of, you know, past, how things were, how things, you know, it's just, yeah, how things have developed and evolved over time, over the centuries. And then you kind of feel a bit sad that it's all you know, decayed, but that's life, I guess. You know, things move on, things progress, different engineering and architecture, and wars long past. Hello. So we are just outside a flight restriction zone, so we are good to fly around Portchester Castle, which we will do shortly. And it's about 7 AM Saturday morning, so there's not many people around. There's some dog walkers, which is what you'd expect. But yeah, we're about to get the Dora up and have a look at this site. And I'll overlay some I'll do some vlogging, and I'll put some historical facts of what this castle was all about, like I normally do, and give you some narrative about it. But this is a great place to do some droning. I must say, it feels like you're part of this history. It's quite exciting, I must admit. So, further to do, let's get Dora up and see from above. And we have done this castle actually. We have done it from across the Solent when I was at Port Solent. But it was more, I had to keep the drone in line of sight, so I couldn't get a really good overview of the castle. But we got reasonably close and took some good shots. But today we're actually in the castle grounds, so we should be getting some very good pictures and video from this one. And as you can see, there's quite a few birds around, so I have to be quite careful of those. But I can't actually see anybody at the moment. So anyway, let's get Dora up and get this going, shall we? as we fly around the castle doing our circular mode. And there's the keep right in the centre of the picture. hotel format is striking just over the castle. That's pretty cool. I'm not sure how it's going to come out on camera, on the video footage, but if that comes out as well as it looks on my screen, that'd be a nice little insert. So yeah, this is the Portchester Castle, and I just thought I'd leave a little exit as we go. And well, this has been, I think, Arundel Castle. I mean, it's been spectacular, but I'm not sure if this is my number one. This might be my number one. Anyway, thanks for watching today. Lorenzo.